Okay, here we are. we're trying to be professional here.
That would be a first.
Yeah. So, welcome back, everyone. This is actually the second video.
Nice.
So I have a couple of audio podcasts. I don't know if you've heard those yet.
Yep.
But this is one of my best friends, Brian Oakes. He is super funny. We've been together since college days.
Yep.
It's been over 20 years now.
We don't have to give that number out, but yeah. It's been a while.
That's awesome. So I thought what I wanted to talk about was you just had a recent anniversary.
True.
So what was that anniversary all about?
Well, the older you get, the more anniversaries you tend to have.
Yep.
But this one was almost my last anniversary. But yeah, 3 years ago I died. Thought I'd try something different, and
Nice.
I had some questions, thought I'd go to the other side, go straight to the source. But yeah, I was playing basketball, church ball.
Church ball.
Yes, the brawl that starts with a prayer.
I got my first ACL tear, my right knee, playing church ball.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago. But death
Yes.
is a little bit more serious than a knee injury.
A little bit. I would have taken the knee injury happily.
So what happened? Like you were starting the game and you're like, yeah, I'd like to offer a prayer. And then you're like, please God, don't let any harm come to anyone. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, my heart.
Yeah, pretty much. I at least
Your prayer was not answered.
No. I needed a little more faith for that one. No, it was near the end of the game, and it was funny because a buddy of mine out of Arizona, he was texting me, and I saw it at halftime, and he was asking me how the game was going. I was like, man, the good news is it can't get any worse.
Nice.
Then the next time he heard from me was my wife texting going, Brian just died. So yeah, that was something. So apparently it could get worse. I wasn't thinking that, but anyways, yeah, we were winning the game. We were up by about 10 with just a few minutes left, and
that doesn't sound like things can get worse.
Yeah, well, for me,
I've had worse
personally.
games before.
No, me personally.
Oh, okay.
And so, anyways, this guy was pretty frustrated, and it wasn't quite over yet. There were still a few minutes left, and so he came driving down the lane as fast as he could, and I was expecting him to try and go up, so I was getting ready to swat it, and then all of a sudden he just lowered his shoulder and hit me right in the chest, and I just went flying back and hit the ground. And usually I bounce up pretty quickly from those, but it was a pretty significant blow. I'm a pretty big guy these days, and I don't go down easily, and so it was pretty painful.
So was he a pretty big dude to himself?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got the call. I mean, if you're gonna go
so
down,
that church rep is like, tweet.
Yeah, whoever gets an offensive charge call in church ball.
I know, right?
And who
the guy's like,
there,
what?
Yeah, and who stands there and tries to get the call? I was an idiot, but whatever. So so I got up slowly and I kept playing, and but I was like having a real hard time catching my breath, and I was like, man, my chest hurts so bad. I think he pulled a rib out of my sternum. And so I'd done that once before, and it's really painful. And they kind of compare that to a heart attack, and so you could kind of compare a heart attack to a heart attack too. I just didn't. I wasn't really familiar with it at that point.
But you definitely didn't get up and you're like, I think I'm having a heart attack. No. I'm just gonna push through this.
No.
Just gonna push through this, baby.
So I played like a couple more points, 3-point line to 3-point line. Like I'm sitting there going, I'm done. I can't hardly catch my breath here. And so,
come on, let's be real. That's kind of your game.
Well, yeah, that was the whole 3/4 of the game before that.
Look at me. Do I look like I play defense? Come on.
Nice.
It was just happenstance.
That's
I was like going from one side of the 3-point line to the other, and I just found myself in the middle.
Exactly.
And that guy charged at the time. I wasn't even supposed to be there, man.
That's right. I was trying to move out of the way, but I'm so slow these days. So anyways, and my son was with me. And so I was like, buddy, we got to go. I'm not doing well. And so I go and get in the car.
Was he playing or sitting on the sideline?
He was just sitting on the sideline watching. He had a game right before me.
Okay.
And so anyways, I'm sitting there going, where is he? Like, he was just not coming. So I had to get back out, go back into the church. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I can't find my ball.
He was like, somebody's got to sub in for the game, Dad. Yeah. Freaking A, we were ahead.
So we found his ball. We get in the car and I start driving home. And now I'm sweating more than I was in the game. I'm just like, man, it was February and I had the windows down. It's ice cold outside, but I'm just like, I'm dying. It is so hot right now. And I'm in so much pain. I'm dying, literally. Didn't know
it. Come on, Dad, I'm cold.
Yeah. So we get home and I barely like pull into the garage without like running through the door, you know, through the wall. I barely get it in park. And I'm just like, oh, I'm hurting so bad. So, yeah, so I went inside and I told my wife, I was like, I'm struggling. This one hurts really badly. And I didn't even take a shower. I was just like, I'm going to go lay down.
She's like, suck it up, man.
Yeah, seriously. Not again. Come on.
You know, when we got married, you were playing against Chris Webber.
That was a different time. That was 20 years ago.
He was in the NBA, and now look where you've sunk.
That's right.
Freaking church ball. You can't even
Chris couldn't take a blow to the chest like that. I'll just tell you right now.
I hear he can give them out, though.
Yes, he sure can. So, anyways, yeah.
All the listeners are like, who's Chris Webber?
Yeah.
You're like, curse you.
We need the older audience here. So,
yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, I went and laid down and I was just sitting there going, pain's just a figment of your imagination, you know? It's like, I can control this. And so I was trying to control my breathing, trying to control the pain. And I don't know, I took some medicine to see if I could help or if that would help with the pain. But I was just like, I have a chiropractic appointment the next morning. I was like,
this is
perfect.
Sweet.
Yeah. I was like, I just got to get to that, you know? So if I could just calm myself down, go to sleep, get up in the morning and he'll take care of me. So then, so I'm laying there and I was just like, okay, I'm not moaning. I'm not groaning. I got this. I'm all right. And then all of a sudden my wife gets in bed and she's like, what can you do for pulled rib out of your sternum? You know, she's Googling it, trying to figure it out.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised she hadn't just forgotten about it.
Yeah. That's
well, like Allison, she'd be like, I told her, she's like, oh, I told you, you're a little too old for that.
I think I was making too much
and then
noise.
I'd be like,
she couldn't sleep.
Shut up, woman, stay in the kitchen. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. But, here we go.
And then she would be like,
here comes all the
like,
hey,
downs. You got what you got. Don't be crying on my watch.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't kick me out of the room at that point. But anyways, luckily she was still awake because I was laying there and I just went, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to throw up. And I sat up and then I fell to the floor. And that's the last thing I remember.
That's the last thing I remember.
Thing. And so she called 911 and I was doing kind of I don't remember what it's called, alginol breathing or something like that, where it's fake. It's your body is trying to breathe, but it's not really doing anything.
Weird.
And so she was trying to explain that to the EMTs or the dispatch woman, whoever. And interestingly enough, the dispatch woman was a friend of my sister's.
Okay.
And they figured that all out later too, you know, and the EMTs were just minutes away. We don't know exactly how long, but
yeah, I know when you were scoping out your house, you're like, okay, is this house close to the fire department and the ambulance? Because you know what happens to us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like those kids, they're prone to start things on fire, the freaking
that's right,
pyromaniacs. That's right. And then my wife, she can come around the corner with the right hand.
Oh man, yeah.
And who knows what will happen.
That's right. Yeah. So, anyways, I woke up like 2 days later in the hospital, but they had to come in and shock me. And apparently that's not a fun sight, But,
Oh, really?
Yeah, you bounce pretty good, I guess. And this body does bounce, but
I told you should go for the softwood,
Yes,
not the hardwood, bro.
and then they also they took out like a power drill and drilled into my shin, and to put medicine into my bone marrow, because your veins aren't, when your blood isn't pumping, it doesn't do any good to put medicine in your veins. So they put it right into your bone marrow. And
What the crap? I've never heard of that before.
I know, me neither.
Was that in your house, or
Yeah.
was that sometime in the hospital?
No, that was happening
So
in
there,
the house.
one guy's like doing chest compressions, and the
Yeah.
next guy is pulling off your shoes.
No, my shin. It was just my
Oh,
shin that he
so
went
he just
through.
like pulls up your,
Yeah.
and then he pulls out the old.
DeWalt drill and just and my wife's watching it like,
What is it, like cord?
he's not flinching.
Something
This isn't-
Deckard. He's like,
this isn't good. Yeah, a little Black and Decker.
She's like the Black and Decker.
I got the wood bit. Darn it, that's not gonna get through this.
And your wife's like, did I call the right place?
Yeah.
I called the.
Why do all
I
these
meant
guys
to
have-
call the ambulance.
Why do all these
What are we
guys have
doing?
Home Depot vests on? I don't even understand.
What are we doing here?
So, they all have sawdust on their sleeves. Like, what the?
They're like, hey, if he doesn't make it, we gotta do some quick bone marrow excavation for
Yeah, exactly.
the next guy who needs something.
Exactly.
She's like, I don't like
so,
this.
so she knew it was trouble at that point because I wasn't moving at all, and so then they shocked me and kind of brought me back and got me into the ambulance, and I guess they had to shock me 2 or 3 more times.
Wow.
And
So you don't remember getting up and walking?
No, I didn't
whatever.
walk then. No, they put me on a stretcher.
Oh, okay.
Took me out. And so, yeah, and then I was kind of in a little bit of a coma. And they said, the doctor told me later, 90% of people that have a cardiac arrest at home don't survive.
Uh-huh.
The remaining 10% of that 10%, 8% can't walk or talk anymore.
Oh,
And
geez.
so, yeah, so I'm like, when I wake up, he kind of tells me that. And I was just like, oh,
You're like, why are we telling
can I
this?
walk and talk? I was like, where am I? What's going on?
He's like, before you say anything,
Yeah,
there's a good chance you won't be able to talk.
that's right.
Okay, now go. And you're like, do you hear me speaking? He's like, yes.
And so I've got, my wife posted on social media what happened, and a lot of people reached out. I'm guessing you probably did, but I honestly can't remember it.
Do you remember me showing up at the hospital?
No.
No, really?
Yeah, I really
Dang.
can't. I can't remember anybody at the hospital at all.
Wow.
And I remember my next door neighbor came by and she brought a drink at like a Frosty, or not a Frosty, but like a smoothie or something.
Okay.
But all I can remember is that it had a really big straw, like a really wide one. I was like, this is weird. And I don't know why.
Was it
I
like
can
a
remember
boba
that.
drink, like one of those Chinese things with the
I think it
tapioca
was.
pearls at the
I
bottom?
think it was. Yeah, it was really strange.
You're like, are you in cahoots with this guy that charged into me? Like, you're like, the heart attack didn't work. Let's try and
am I supposed to be
suffocate
chewing
him to
this? I
death.
just-
When he tries to suck down this tapioca ball, and he's
exactly.
like,
I remember I had a doctor friend of mine, and he's never on social media, and so I was like, man, I don't even know if you've heard, this is what happened. And he's like, I've been to the hospital like 3 times for hours at a time. Like, we're talking and communicating, and I can't remember
Oh, dang
anything. I'm just like, oh, that's embarrassing. Sorry, man. So yeah, and it took a few months of having lapses like that in memory. Like,
wow.
yeah, that was awful. I remember my first lunch appointment with somebody, and I thought I was meeting with somebody completely different. And so I get there and I see this guy, and I was like, well, I haven't seen you in forever. And he's like, yeah, no, it's great seeing you. Come on, let's have lunch or whatever. And I was like, I think I'm meeting with somebody else.
You're like, I can't eat with you. I'm eating with Roy.
Yeah, I didn't say any name, but I made sure that when I sat down, I could see the door in
Right.
case somebody showed up that I was expecting, And I get back to the office and I look at my calendar. I was like, I was meeting with that guy. I'm like, oh man, okay, this is embarrassing. So yeah, it was a rough go for a little while, for about 6 months of being in memory like that.
Wow. So it's been 3 years?
3 years.
Say 3 years.
Yep. we invite the EMTs over on the the year anniversary every year. And I just want to make sure they know how to get to my house because it's all new guys.
Yeah,
now,
you're like, this is most, I've heard statistically that this is going to happen again sometime.
right. There's a good chance.
I want this to be on the front of your
That's right.
front of
I don't
your
even
mind.
want to give an address. I just want to say Brian Oaks, and you guys know how to get
It's like,
here.
boom. And you better have some cookies ready
That's right.
this time.
And milk. Yeah. So
They come in, they're like, we're not Santa, man.
yeah.
It's like, I cleaned out the chimney and everything. I thought you were going to arrive here a sleigh and reindeer.
Yeah. So anyways, that was a tough one to overcome. One of the hardest parts was getting back into life again because it's, I don't know if you want me to talk about the other side so much, but, everything just seems so insignificant here. And so it was really hard to go back to work because it was like, why am I doing it? I don't even care.
Like, that's kind of what I want to talk to you about. Cause like you were telling me you had a kind of an experience when you were all combed out.
Yeah.
So
it took me about a week to remember it. I remember my mom was like, so did you see anything on the other side? And I was like,
did you meet Jesus?
It's just dark and hot where I'm going. Lots of flames.
How funny would it have been if you would have told your mom that?
Yeah.
You're like, man, it's not good down there, Mom.
Yeah, it's not good for our family.
It's not good.
You better
I'm
hold
glad
on
I
for as
came
long as
back
you can.
because it was hot
We got some things to change.
and there were some chains and whips.
That's right. Wailing and gnashing of teeth.
It's not what you told me it was like. I was thinking choirs and feathers.
Yes, palm leaves and somebody feeding me grapes. No,
It wasn't like that.
Wasn't quite like
What's
that.
up?
So yeah, no, I was telling her I don't nothing. There was nothing, and she was like, "Really?" I was hoping there'd be something, and it wasn't until like a week later that I remembered something, and when I remembered it, it felt like a switch was just turned on in my head, almost like I had always known it, but it just kind of wasn't activated in my brain.
Oh, okay.
And then once it turned on, it was like, oh, yeah, I know this. Like I've experienced this before.
Huh.
And so, anyways, the best way to describe it is that I could see everything. I could see the eternities. And I always say from beginning to end, but there was no beginning and no end to it. I got to see, all the spirits that were coming down to the earth to be here with us and to be us. And then I saw the spirits that were leaving the earth from people who had passed on. And then I saw, after they had passed on, I just saw a lot of teaching going on, because there's a lot to learn, I guess, about, Heavenly Father's plan and all that kind of stuff. And so I just kind of saw it all happening. And the first impression that I had was, I don't get it. And
like, what's there not to get?
Well, I'm looking at it all and I'm like, why the earth is everything that I've known. And it's so insignificant. And the time we spend on the earth is so insignificant and so minimal compared to everything that I was like, I don't get it. Why are we doing this? Like, because at the time, life was stressful.
Right.
And, you're trying to make a living. You're trying to raise your family, trying to keep your marriage happy and all that kind of stuff. And you're sitting there going, it's hard. Life is hard. And I was feeling it at that time. And so when I saw what life was from that perspective, kind of the 30,000 foot view or more, I was like, oh, why am I stressing so much over this? This is like nothing.
Right.
And so I had some questions, and it was as if somebody were standing behind me over my left shoulder who would answer all my questions for me.
Okay.
And I never
So
looked.
as you thought them, somebody kind of spoke them.
Yeah. And so I never looked to see who was there. It just kind of felt like there was somebody right there. And so I was like,
It was me.
yeah,
I was there with
that's what scares me too. That's why I was
You're
afraid I
like,
didn't go
that's
where I was
kind of
supposed
funny
to.
because that same day, like I was taking down my Christmas lights, and I like fell off the ladder.
Nice. Yeah, we probably would have been having a good time there. That's probably why they didn't let us stay.
I'd be like laughing at you. You're like, what's going on? I'm like, you're dead.
Let's party here in this side. And they'd be like, nope, you two are out of here.
It's like you guys were gonna make it, but since you kind of
That's right.
got together and started
We can't have this here.
goofing off, no,
We have rules here.
we were gonna give you the benefit of the doubt.
We thought you were ready, but no, you're not really.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyways, the first question was like, I don't get this. I don't understand what I'm seeing. Like what's the purpose behind it all? And the guy, I assume it felt like a guy that was answering. I don't know, but the feeling was, and I didn't hear. I don't know. People have asked me, did you hear a voice or did you think the voice type of thing? No idea. I just knew I got the answers. And so the answer that I got was, you already know all this.
Like you've been here before.
Yeah. And so it was kind of like, remember, this was Heavenly Father's plan. And he created this earth so that you could come and get a body. And so I'm like, well, yeah, I get that, but what else? It's like, there's got to be more to it.
You're like, why do I have to deal with my freaking kids, getting them up and cooking them breakfast?
Exactly. And he goes, number two, I created it for you, or it was created for your experiences. Or, just so, because this is the only time in all of creation that we get these bodies and we get to, have experiences with them that are unique and different from the other side. And so I was like, okay. And, I'm like, but there's so much we have to do. If you look at the religious aspect of it, you got to be baptized and you got to do this, you got to follow and be good and behave and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, you don't get it. It's like, Christ made it possible for you to come here and not do any of those things if you don't want to. But he laid out a plan so that you could be happy if you do those things, or happier if you do those things. But honestly, you don't even have to do it. That's kind of the answer I got, which is a little bit puzzling to me. It's like, no, you have to.
Wait a second.
Yeah, if I don't do it, there will be flames and gnashing of teeth and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Roy's waiting for me down there. I can't let him.
That's right.
I can't let him be all by himself.
Can't leave him hanging, So, anyways, I'm like, but you have to do all those things. And they're like, no, you don't. He made it possible. This was all part of his plan. And the reason he has those things there is so that if you follow him, you'll be happier. And that's a lot different than thinking I have to do them.
Right.
It's like, oh, I don't have to do it. I don't have to serve people if I don't want to. But if I do, it makes me happier.
Right.
And so it's like, huh. And that was just kind of a perspective change for me, because I always felt like I had to do things.
Right.
It's like, if I don't, we're burning. If I do, I'm singing. I'm happy. Well, if I'm singing, no one's happy, but whatever.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I guess there's maybe our limited understanding is we think of consequences more than benefits.
Right. Exactly.
So that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, there's benefits to all this stuff.
Yep.
You don't necessarily have to worry about necessarily the consequences because.
Yeah. And sometimes, consequences are used as a motivator, when we're parents and we tell our kids, like, hey, if you don't stop playing that video game, I'm going to thump you upside the head, and or you're going to fail school, or you're never going to get a job, or you're going to, whatever it is. And we always talk about the negative consequences instead of the positive benefits of doing things.
Yeah.
And
like, hey, if you got good grades, you could
get into a good
school. Get this $5 bill right here.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
My kids be like, Dad, $5 isn't worth
Yeah, come on.
an A. Come on. I mean, we got to sweeten that thing up a
Maybe
little bit.
5,000, whatever. I ain't trying for anything less than a 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, if you go to school and graduate in that political science degree, you could get a good job at McDonald's.
That's right.
You're like, thanks, Dad. That's great motivation.
Super appreciate that. Gender studies, that'll get you there.
Nothing out there to all my political science friends out there.
So yeah. So anyway, so that was kind of a perspective change for me, just hearing that. And
so then you woke up and you came back to life, and your wife's like, Brian, you got to get up and get those kids to school. They're going to be late. They're going to get a tardy.
you know, I came
and you're
back,
like,
you know,
if they do, who cares?
Have you ever seen the movie Office Space?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so that guy gets hypnotized and he doesn't care about anything anymore, like the stress of work or life or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to work anymore. I don't really care. That's what everybody was saying about me. It's like, yeah, Brian, quick, the kids are going to be late for school. I was like, they'll be late. All right, it's all
They're
good.
late. Doesn't matter.
My wife's like, man, you are so chill now. Had I known it was going to do this, I would have killed you years ago.
You're like, you are the man I've always wanted you to be.
Yes.
Like, where was this, Brian?
Exactly. Yeah. So.
And hold on just a second. I need to call my sister.
Exactly.
You're like, huh?
You hear
It's
her
like, yeah,
husband
her
in the
husband
background.
is- Stop. What are you doing?
It wasn't me.
Are you crazy? Like, no, I'm the most sane ever.
Okay, you can bring him back now. He should be ready.
Hey, Cora, who'd you said you called? Home Depot? Okay, no problem.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, take it.
So
how was your shin? You never, like...
there's just a scar, but yeah,
Okay.
it was fine. Like, no, they broke all my ribs, so I didn't even feel my shin.
Wow,
after that.
so you're like 3 months later, you're like, what's this bandage on my leg?
Yeah. Like, why is there a hole in my leg? I don't get
Your
that.
wife's like, that's what kept you alive.
Yeah.
I don't know why drilling a hole in your leg get your heart going again, but
Yeah, the worst part about the whole recovery was the ribs. And, you know, you'd be laying in bed and then you'd sneeze out of nowhere.
oh dang.
I was just like, don't revive me again.
Oh,
Like, if my heart stops again, just let it go. Like, it was so painful. It was just like tears and you just be sitting there going, oh, no, stop. I can't breathe. Like, it would hurt so bad you couldn't inhale, you know? It's just like,
so how is it when you're like in Sunday school and some guy's teaching a lesson and you're like,
I don't even go anymore.
Come on.
I don't need I know all this. It's all good.
you're like, I used to go 3 hours every Sunday. Now, every once in a while.
Yeah. So let's see. At the time, I was Elders Quorum president, and I think I just did a 180 from what I was doing before. You know, I was like, we got to get better. We got to do more. We got to, all this stuff. And it's like, we'll get there. We're all
Bishop's
kind of going
I
at our
think
own
we
pace.
need a little change in the
Yes.
quorum.
So they stuck me
presidency
in
right now.
primary. It's like, you can go. Don't mess with the kids. It's whatever. They have time to recover.
Just tell them that love story you got going on.
There you go. So yeah, but yeah, it was just my whole perspective changed, and you know, I still try and serve. I still try and do good things, but I do it for the right reasons.
The right reasons.
You know, because it's something I want to do instead of something I feel like I have to do. Almost like, you know, it was a responsibility that I had before, and now it's a desire that I have. And if I'm really not feeling good, it's like, no, someone else can do it this time. Like, I don't need to kick myself out the door and hate my life and, you know,
Right.
and destroy my family and all that kind of stuff. It's like, no, when it's appropriate, I do it. I do it at all costs, you know.
Right.
And it gives other people opportunities to serve as well. And so
That's really cool. That's like almost like if somebody talked to you, you'd be like, I what's the word I'm looking for? It's like I'm a changed person in that I'm not going to worry about that anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
And the further I get
do you
away
feel
from
like there's a burden taken off of you?
Oh, absolutely.
Or do you feel like,
Well,
I was such a go-getter back then?
yeah. So both those feelings, actually. It's like,
Your wife's like, I like this chill guy, but
can you take the trash out? The trash will get taken out. Whatever.
Like,
Somebody will get to it.
you're like, I like this chill guy, but the dinner is not cooking itself, bro.
Yeah. In all honesty, I did hit a time of depression from it all because I couldn't like mentally and physically do the things that I used to do. And so it felt like all of the goals that I had were gone, and it was just like, what am I supposed to do now? I was like, I kind of had my whole life planned out in my head, barring a few changes here and there, but it's like, I knew what I was going to do. And, I did a lot of service in other countries, and I thought I was going to, continue that at a much larger scale and stuff as I got older. And all of that got put on hold. The business that you and I started together and that I was finishing, it died while I was doing this because I couldn't maintain it. I couldn't do the things that I used to do for it. And so it was like, oh, that stinks.
Like, I worked on that for so long.
Yeah. What was that, like 14 years or something, 15 years? And then all of a sudden it died, and it was like, what the crap? What am I supposed to do now? I still had, the global goods business,
right?
And that was still working well, and I had good employees that could help out and step up and that type of thing. But that was like a kick in the pants, and it was just like, man, I don't know what else I'm going to do. I don't know what I can do, And so it took about 2 years or so for me to start feeling like I mentally could do more.
Wow.
And it was so.
You're like, hey, thanks God for giving me this perspective, but
I don't want to
would have
be
rather.
here. I don't want to be here anymore is how I was feeling. Like, what did I come back to this for? Like, you got to be kidding me.
I mean, this woman, she's cute and all, and these kids, they're kind of cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just like, if I can't do anything, why am I here? It was like, that was painful. And that was a tough realization to have. And so I was in North Carolina for Thanksgiving. So 1.5 Thanksgivings ago or 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
And 2 Thanksgivings ago.
2 Thanksgivings ago.
Sorry.
I'm like, how do we have a half of Thanksgiving?
Well, look at me, Dad. Every day's Thanksgiving. Okay. You just never know when that next meal's coming.
We don't need no holiday to have freaking Thanksgiving.
That's right. So 1.5 years ago, we were in
awesome.
North Carolina with my wife's family, and it was a week long, all in the same house. So they were great family, but younger kids, and after a week long of being in the same place with everybody, your nerves start twitching and stuff.
Okay.
And so it was Sunday morning, and I was like, let's go find a church to go to. Just our family. Let's take off. Let's just get out of here and get away. And so we were driving, and I saw a sign for the Wright Brothers Museum, and I was like, they have a museum, huh?
The Church of Aeronautical.
Yes, exactly.
No, I'm trying here.
We did make it to church, but I saw that on the way.
Okay.
And so on the way home, I was like, I don't really want to go home yet. So let's go check out this museum, see if it's even open on a Sunday on a holiday weekend,
Okay.
And there was nobody at the guard gate charging money. So I was like, well, it's open. So we drove through, and then we got inside, and there was somebody who had unlocked the doors, but there was like nobody there. There was one worker there, or maybe 2.
Interesting.
And so we had the whole
little
place.
do you know, they're like, is this going to be a problem?
Yeah.
They're like breaking into the vault.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, is this place open? And they're like, yeah,
Sure,
go ahead.
Yeah, just whatever you like.
Don't mind us. You might hear
We're renovating.
some banging. You might see some torches.
That's right.
Some welding going on. Don't be alarmed by that.
That's right. So we had the place to ourselves, and so we could read like every plaque that they had there, you know. And so
Okay.
I was just sitting there, just kind of taking it in, and I was like, wow, there's a cool story to this whole thing. Like, I knew that they invented flight, but I knew nothing about how they got there. You
Okay.
know? And so I'm just reading all these stories, and it's just like, oh, this is awesome. And what they went through and the challenges that they had to overcome. And at one point, Wilbur Wright had said, I'll butcher how he spoke back in the day, but the extent of it was, not in 1,000 years will man be able to fly. It's gonna take us, you know, like, we can't figure it out. And that really just resonated with me, because that was kind of how I was feeling. You know, I was kind of like, not in 1,000 years am I ever going to get back on my feet again. You know,
interesting.
Or not in my lifetime, I'm not going to be able to bounce back. You know, it's like,
So you almost felt like you had lead boots on or something like that.
Yeah. And it was just like, I can't do what I used to do. And so when he said that, I was like, man, that's like the pit of despair, you know, the pits of despair. And so
no one makes it out alive.
That's right. And so I was just like, holy cow. And then it like dawned on me, could you imagine if he gave up? You know, if they just kind of said, because he was on the train heading home.
All those climate change deniers.
That's right.
Would be up in arms happy.
Yes,
They're
exactly.
like, we wouldn't have any planes flying around destroying our planet.
That's right. And so
I'm sorry. That was not the track that you wanted me to take you down.
That was a little tangent there, but I'll bring you back. So anyways, I was just like, imagine if he would have stopped. He was on the train home, and they lived in Ohio, and then they would travel down to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina to test their flight and try and figure stuff out. And then they did that during the winter months, and then during the summer months they'd go back to Ohio, and they had a bicycle shop.
Okay.
And so that's how they funded everything. And they didn't need to really be there so much during the winter, you know. And so anyways,
what, people don't ride their bikes in snow?
not in Ohio. And so anyways, they they were on their way back, and Wilbur had said that, and you knew he was just way discouraged. You know, it's like, no matter what we try, we're just not getting there. And that's a good time to give up for a lot of people.
Right.
You know, and you start thinking about it. Had he given up, you know, where would we be today? And, 66 years after they invented flight, we landed a man on the moon.
Okay.
And so you sit there and you go, 1,000 years is what he was thinking it would take to invent flight.
And it was just a few.
Yeah, it was just a few. And then 66 years later, Neil Armstrong took a part of the Wright brothers' first flight plane in his spacesuit with him when he landed on the moon, because he kind of attributed that, that miracle to the miracle of flight. And anyways, and so, that just kind of got me thinking. And I came home and I just was, really thinking about it for 2 weeks. I started researching it even more because I was just inspired by the whole story. And I was like, maybe I'm not done yet. Maybe there's something more that I can still do. And, it's my wife and my kids, and they're grateful that I'm here. But at that time, I wasn't feeling really grateful to be here. Right. And, when you can't do as much as you used to do, and your brain isn't firing like it used to, it's just kind of like, why am I here? I could still do some things, but I just wasn't as sharp as I used to be. And so anyways, so when I came home from that trip, I was just really, kind of invigorated just a little bit, and so I set the goal for, that happened in 2017, 18. So for 2019, I set the goal I was going to invent something new.
Oh, okay.
And,
I get where this is going.
Yeah, and I had no clue what I was doing. I was just like, I just wrote it down. And that was significant because I hadn't set any goals.
That kind of gave you a purpose.
Yeah. I hadn't set any goals for at least 2 years.
Right.
And I was a pretty big goal setter. When you have your own business and stuff, you gotta project where you're going to go.
That's awesome.
All that kind of stuff. And
My goal is like to give up on on making goals.
Yeah, that's
It's like goals are stupid.
good luck with that.
I never obtain anything. Why am I wasting my time setting these stupid things?
Yes,
Just setting
that's
myself
true.
up for failure every time.
That's right. I can just save myself that whole feeling of failure all over again.
I know that's kind of mine. So that's cool that you're a little above my my grade there.
Whatever. So anyway, so that was significant for me, even though it was stupid. It was almost childish. It's like, what? You set that goal when you're 5,
Right.
So I'm sitting here going, I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I am 5.
What are you
again.
gonna be when you grow up, Brian?
Exactly. I would be an astronaut.
inventor.
I would go land on the moon. So anyways, so that was the goal. And I was like, yeah, I have no idea. I'm getting there. That was stupid, but whatever. I just want to feel like I can still contribute something.
Uh-huh.
And, you ask my friends and family, oh, no, you contribute a lot. It's wonderful having you here. It's like, no, I need to feel like I'm contributing something. And so I went to work and, I started the new year inspired and feeling grateful and happy. And it just felt like my mind started firing a little bit faster. And as the year progressed, I started working on different things and one of the things that I've spent the last 10 years or so working on is my workstation.
Uh-huh.
And
Your desk.
My desk, yeah. And because, 10 years ago or so, I had to have back surgery. And I'm sitting there going, man, I got to change up what I'm doing in the office, So I bought a zero gravity chair. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
one?
I love that idea. Although it seemed like you were upside down and your
Almost.
monitors were up here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I was like, how do you type upside down? It would seem like you'd lose all
Pretty
the
close.
blood in your hands after a while or something.
It wasn't quite upside down, but it was almost like laying flat, like
Right.
a curved, seat. And so, anyways, and I had a
It
split
was pretty cool,
keyboard.
though.
Yeah, it was nice. They called it my Wall-E chair from the
Nice.
Pixar movie.
Nice.
I was like, if I just hooked up a catheter, I wouldn't even need to leave this chair,
Perfect.
So, anyways, but yeah, in that same movie, Wall-E, what happened to everybody on the spaceship is they got overweight, their
Right.
bones didn't connect anymore, all that kind of stuff. Well, that was kind of what was happening to me because I would seriously
Just
lay
sit in
down
that chair all day.
every single day. And so what happens at that point, I was thinking this is the best thing for my back because it
It's
takes
just to
all the
be
pressure off
immobile.
my back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is the perfect situation, and I built this thing and I'm loving it. But then what I realized is it was making me weaker.
Uh-huh.
And so after my second back surgery, I realized this isn't working.
You're like, this is the opposite of what I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to strengthen my back.
Exactly.
Right?
And so
Instead
I'm
of
like,
weaken it.
all right, so do I start going to the gym every day? Do I start doing that stuff? And so I did. And then it was like, man, I'm just like so busy though. This is all before the heart attack situation, But, and so I'm sitting here going, I'm so busy. I don't really have time to waste. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to not be doing anything except working on myself. It's like, I just couldn't justify that consistently. And so I stopped going to the gym, and I was like going, man, I don't know. I had some buddies that started walking every morning. They're a little bit older and they're not in any shape to go running, and I hate running. That's like my least favorite thing to do.
Gotcha.
But I still could do it. I just don't enjoy it. If I'm chasing a ball, if I'm chasing a Frisbee, I can go after it, and I like
Right.
doing that. But in terms of let's just run around the neighborhood a few times, that's not me. I hate doing that stuff. And so
You and everybody else in this world.
no, not everybody, but yeah. I don't know where those people come from, but yeah, I didn't come from there.
Right.
And so anyways, I was watching these two guys and they started losing weight as they were walking every morning. And, I'm sure they were eating better and stuff, but I'm sitting there going, I'm like, man, I don't have time to sit there and walk with them. And if I were walking, I'd be running. It's like, if I'm going to use the time, I got to be pushing myself,
Right.
And so
You're like, I'm going to go play some basketball.
Yeah. No, actually, yeah, I still could back then. Yeah, I could.
And your wife's like, I don't think this is a good idea.
No, that permission slip doesn't get signed anymore. If I go to watch my son play, I have to wear slippers. I can't even do anything that would allow me to do anything.
But you still coached the B team on the Frisbee thing, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And don't you get out there and scrimmage with them every once in a while?
Not as much after
anymore.
After that whole thing happened, I didn't do as much. There was one time I laid out for a disc and I was on blood thinners and it just bruised my whole chest and stuff. And my wife's like, if you're gonna keep doing this, you got to stop playing. So I don't play as much, but I still have fun with them. So, anyways, we.
So do you have to be on blood thinners forever now?
No. I'm not on anything anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I take aspirin every morning. They say that helps.
Just a baby aspirin or whatever.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. So don't have to be on anything special. And anyways, and so then I decided to add a treadmill to my desk so that I could at least walk while I was working.
Right.
And but then I ran into a problem because I can't walk all day. For the amount of hours that I put in and work. And it was just like, I can't walk all day. So what am I supposed to do when I'm not walking, And
so did you just have a desk and you had a treadmill on the side of the desk?
No, I had a desk and I put the treadmill
underneath it.
Yeah, right where your chair would
and then you're
go.
like, hey, I can't just be standing up all day.
Right, yeah. And I had this little platform thing that would raise up and down on top of my desk.
Right.
And so I was using that when I would stand up and everything. But I was like, I meet with people. I have employees, and we sit there and talk and stuff, or I have customers that come by and it's like, I'm not going to be standing there looking down at them, while I'm walking here and you're just sitting there with your lazy self,
Lazy self. Really? That's like what I'm working up to. Like you have it all.
Yeah, there you go. So anyways, yeah,
like now that my sons are bigger, like I can't look down at them anymore.
That's
I'm
right.
like, man, I need to get a stool.
Exactly. That was the motivation really behind all of this. As long as I'm looking down on you people, that's what I'm looking for. So,
Gotcha.
So I ended up building a rail system with wheels and a track system along the side of the treadmill so that I could slide a chair back and forth on it. And I mounted my chair to this rail system, and it worked really well.
So if you're standing up, you just kind of push the chair
you just
behind
push it
you
back
or something.
behind you. Yeah.
And then you're like walking.
Yep. And then, but every so often you would forget that there's a chair behind
snap.
you. And
I
all
could
of a sudden,
see that happening.
Oh yeah. It would catch the back of your
You're like-
heel, something fierce. And you're like, oh, that hurt, or knock your shoe off, or you stumble.
Oh, okay.
And
I was thinking that you'd forget that it was like farther back.
So
So you would
try
like go to sit down and shabam.
Oh no, that one never happened. But
Okay.
yeah, at one time my dog dropped a tennis ball on the treadmill while I was moving pretty fast on that time. Not necessarily working. I was reading or watching a video or something. And she comes over and drops this ball and I stumble. And, and I'm like trying to catch my balance and this chair is just eating me alive. It's a fail army video waiting to happen. I'm just going,
That's awesome.
Get me out of here. My dog's like, he's playing. Let's jump on the treadmill. So then she's stumbling and I'm trying to get her off, trying to get me off. And it was comical, I'm sure. But luckily nobody saw it.
You're
happening.
like, only if I had a video of this.
Yes. Could probably
We could
make
have
more
added
money.
this to
there.
Roy's podcast to be gold.
That's right.
Gold.
I could mimic it. No. So anyways, so I was like, yeah, that's probably not the best solution. And so
Just slide the chair behind you.
yeah, it's just, there's a lot of liability with that.
Gotcha.
And so anyways, and then what I did was I added an elliptical to the front of it so that I could, what I found was that, I can't walk all day. So I
Right.
still spent the majority of my day sitting.
Right.
And then I was like, well, is there something more I could do while I'm sitting?
You're
so
like,
was
I could pedal.
Yeah, I could pedal while I'm sitting here, but how do you do that? And so I ended up rigging up an elliptical that would fit under the desk and in front of the treadmill so I could sit there and pedal while I was working. But then when your chair is on wheels, you
Gotcha.
slide back, and so
Oh,
it's
that's
like,
funny.
so I had to.
Yeah, because I would have been like, I can only kick this dog so much until it doesn't come back again.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, hey, Fido, get over here. Like,
Exactly.
this is good exercise. This is kicking this dog all day long. And then
makes you
sooner or
feel
later,
good,
you're like,
too.
Fido, get over here. And he's like, no,
Yeah, no, not doing that again. But
dang dog won't let me kick it.
so
What's
yeah,
this world coming to?
so I tried a bunch of versions to lock the chair in place, and it was not happening. After a while, no matter what I did, it would just slowly creep back. And so as it did that, as it became more difficult, I used it less.
Okay.
Whenever something isn't easy, you tend to stop using it.
Okay.
And so I was just like, oh yeah, that's really not working. So now I'm not pedaling anymore. And then it's like, I forget to walk. I forget, whatever. And so I just wasn't using it as much. And I was putting on more weight, And so sitting here going, I got to get this so it's easier. I got to make it easier. I got to get that chair out of the way. I got to be able to lock it in place. I got, all this stuff. And so I finally, figured it out, and so I got it, and I built the right parts that would put the chair kind of suspended on an arm that would swing out of the way, and it worked really well. And you could lock it in place easily, and you could sit there and pedal, and you could stand up and get it out of the way. And I was like, this is actually really cool. And the more people that started to see it, they're like, you got to do something with
really
this.
cool.
This is really cool. I wish. Can you make another one?
It's like, I mean, oftentimes you think stuff is cool and it's not really.
No,
I mean,
no.
come on, Dad. But
Yeah, exactly.
but somehow
I'm cool, right?
you came upon something here. Accident, probably.
Yeah, pretty much. But it was working really well. And so I'm sitting here going, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the thing I was supposed to come up with this year.
Oh, okay.
And
Nice.
so, yeah. And so as I finalized it and it started working really well, I was like, what's it take to get a patent? I've never done that before. And maybe that's something I should look into on this one. So I started that process, and those guys were amazing in how they drew it up and wrote it up and all that stuff. So that was kind of really exciting. And I was like, wow, it was really expensive too. And I was like, wow.
I wonder if it's anything like at Adobe, man, when we do patents, like I'll create like a 2 or 3 page document that kind of explains the whole system or whatever.
Yep.
And then you hand it over to the lawyers and it becomes 60 pages.
Yes.
I'm like, what the crap?
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, why did you do this?
Yeah, I thought
Like
I knew
it
words.
it used to make sense, and now
I don't even know what I've created
exactly
anymore.
like I don't know what you just wrote.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the same thing?
What language is this?
Oh
I don't
dang, dude, it was horrible.
Yep, that's pretty much what it was like. And so anyway, so I started that and working on that process and getting ready to run a Kickstarter, my first one.
That's so
to
cool.
See if I can drum up some interest for it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this Kickstarter thing goes because, like, I hear Kickstarters and I see videos and stuff like that. So, do you have to kind of like initially kind of seed it so that it has like pay-per-clicks on Facebook? Or
Yeah,
whatever,
so you
those kind of
gotta run
things?
some ads and things like that. Yeah,
And then hopefully they see those ads and they're like, "Oh, I like that. I'm gonna
Yep.
donate some money."
Yep. And so they'll end up buying either the entire unit by itself with the desk and everything, or if they already have a standing desk, then they can buy just the treadmill portion with the elliptical and the chair.
Okay.
If they already have a treadmill, I've made it so that you can attach the chair to an existing treadmill as well.
Oh wow,
And
that's
so,
awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'll have different variations
Okay.
of the Kickstarter platform that way.
Yeah, I want to get this. Could you imagine, like, if I went to Adobe and they're like, "Oh, sure, bring it in," and then I like was working on it, and everybody comes by and they're like, "What the F is that?" And they're like, "How do I give that?" And then I'd be like, "Oh, you just talk to HR about this," and then freaking 6,000 units.
That's the hope, right? Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. We'll probably run into more challenges than I foresee at the moment, but yeah, it's it's kind of exciting. I'm excited to give it a shot at least and
That's cool.
see if it helps to a small degree change the world and meet my goal from last year. So
Nice. So you're still with us?
yep, I'm still kicking.
You
I've lost 20 pounds since I've been using the whole thing.
nice.
Yep, so that's a good thing.
That'll
And-
let you eat more Thanksgiving dinners.
Yes, every day.
So you're still living. you talked with something on the other side.
Yep.
He told you,
you can't stay.
chill out.
Chill out. You can't stay.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so here you are, chilled, and then
Chilled, having fun, enjoying life.
Nice.
And yeah, still trying to find my way like everyone else, but I'm not so worried about it anymore.
Yeah, that's hard, man. Doesn't sound hard, but sounds
It is
awesome.
It is. It's
But
been hard. It's been awesome.
I think for somebody to have a experience on the other side, they'd probably rather go without breaking 20 of their ribs.
Yeah.
for it.
Just trust
Getting
me
a
on
hole
it.
in their
Just trust
chin.
me on the whole thing. You don't want to experience it.
You're
Just-
like, I just told you what happened. You don't need to do it.
You don't want it.
You don't need to
Trust me.
fabricate this
No.
near-death experience.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Whenever my kids challenge, what I've taught, I'm like, what, did you think I made it up? Do you have to die to experience the same thing, or can you just believe me, trust me?
Oh, that's nice. Me, I would be like, I'm going to send you to that other side if you don't shut the F up.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like those Bill Cosby clips.
That's right.
Something like that.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you don't remember what happened yesterday? I'm going to send you back there and you'll remember it fine after I get done with you. Whatever.
You're not going to want to come back after I'm done with you.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I love you. I'm glad you're still here.
Thanks, man.
I know we don't hang out as much now that we're not in college anymore.
Thank heavens.
Well, sweet. I guess that kind of does our podcast for
All right.
us.
Sounds
I
good.
appreciate you. Have you ever done this podcast thing before?
I haven't. No, this is the first time. So
What do you think?
I'll tell you after I watch it. How's that?
You're like, when I cut it down, when I cut out all the boring parts,
Yes.
it'll be
It's
sweet.
a 2-minute podcast. Like, this is Brian. He's going to leave now. So,
it'll be like, hey, thanks for coming, Brian. Oh, okay. It's been great talking with you.
That was really fun. Thanks.
That's awesome. Okay, well, everyone, we'll try and throw this on the YouTube, and we'll see what it turns into.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Brian. I
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you. All right, see you.